What's going on, guys? Let's talk a little basketball about the Suns and their seemingly hopeless point guard position now at this point is we are getting deep into free agency. We're getting deep into the summer, and another domino falls, and it doesn't go in the way that Phoenix was probably hoping for. Chris Paul, kind of the last guy out there that really felt like a legitimate chance that they could get him and come in and be a helpful piece. Got down to his final two teams. It looks like it's going to be his last year playing. And he ends up deciding to go to the Clippers rather than come here to Phoenix. Can't honestly say I blame him too much. Clippers are going to be a team that, I don't know if they're going to compete. They have a better chance at competing, but it's hard believing that you're going to get a full playoff run healthy of Kawhi Leonard. And you'll start looking at that roster, and 10 years ago, that roster looks amazing, but now it's starting to look really old. You got Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, John Collins, Zubac coming off a great year. They go out and get Brook Lopez, Bogdanovich is still on there. Now you got Chris Paul as a probably backup point guard, I guess, on there. And, Batum still around on that squad. They got some guys, and they have a nice little run, go to 7 games. They had a nice run to the end of the season, had a lot of momentum going into the playoffs, end up losing 7 games to the Nuggets. That's a better opportunity of going on one last playoff run for him than what was going to be in Phoenix. But Phoenix desperately needed it, and they didn't get it. And so now you're starting to look around the market, and so many guys are now gone at this point. Dennis Schroeder's gone as well. That was a name that we had looked at that said maybe this is a guy that you could kind of expect a hope for some. Trey Jones is also, they watched him leave. Who you got left? It's not a lot of great names out there. There are a few, but not a lot. And not ones that I feel super confident that they could be able to go get at this point. So headlining this list, basically of who's left: Malcolm Brogdon, Gary Payton II, Russell Westbrook. Do we even want to try and entertain that situation? That'd be wild. Corey Joseph, Patty Mills. None of those guys really excited me for one reason or another. But those are maybe the names out there. And then if that doesn't hit, you're talking about the point guard having to be kind of on this team. So does that mean Colin Gillespie is going to be the starting point guard for the Suns next year? No, I hope not. I really hope not. He's fine as a couple minutes a game rotational piece, but if he's a guy that's going to be logging 30 minutes for you every single night, that's asking an awful lot for a guy that was working to be in the league, and that ain't great. And then your other option turns into, do you move Devin Booker back to the point guard again this year and take him completely out of position? That's not great. There's not a lot out there that you're sitting there and you get super excited about. But who knows? So let's go through it. Let's go through some of the names that you think could be there. Malcolm Brogdon. Certainly probably the most talented, best-fitting piece that's still out there. But has some problems as far as this is a guy that last year was making $22.5 million. Suns certainly don't have that kind of cap space, even after waiving Beal, that they want to go spend and get that, put him right back in the second apron, and you'd have a host of other problems. That ain't it. And while he's certainly not going to get that much money in the free agent this time around, he's still going to get a lot. He's still going to at least get a veteran minimum, mid-level exception. He's going to be in the neighborhood of $9, probably $10 million, which is, again, that's probably more than what the Suns really want to spend right now. And he is rumored to be going back to Golden State. Now, he is a guy that he's got a lot of talent. He's coming off a pretty solid season. He's a former sixth man of the year. He's had some runs where he's been really good. When he was in Indiana, he was really good. But it would all signs be pointing towards him basically going back to looking like he might go to Golden State. Look, he's been very quiet during this whole free agency thing because he's been waiting for a lot of the pieces to go somewhere. And then he's just going to choose his team where he thinks he can probably play a lot, get paid a decent amount, and the team has a chance to compete. Suns can't pay him a lot. Suns aren't going to really have a chance to compete. He could play a lot there. He's not going to get paid a lot. It's not, all those pieces aren't going to fall into place. So you go down the list. Next guy. Very interesting. Gary Payton II. Everything said that he would be going back to Golden State. But if Golden State decides to go to Brogdon, Gary Payton could be a guy that is then looking for his new home. He is a great guy to have coming off the bench as your second point guard. I don't think he is your starting point guard in anybody that wants to do anything. He's a good defensive guy. He can hit a couple of shots, but as far as operating and running an offense and kind of facilitating and just setting the tempo, it's not his game. And that's what the Suns need. They don't need a guy that can come in here and score 20 points a game. They need a guy that can just run the offense because they're going to have some scores and they're going to have a lot of young guys and some immaturity problems and some growing pains. And they need a guy that can, weather the storm and make sure that they go in the right direction. That's not Gary Payton's game. Like, he's a guy that you just sit out there and you have him pick up 94 feet and hit a couple open shots, get a couple layups, and every now and then, make a good play or a good pass, but not a guy that's just going to completely read a defense and just run stuff one time after another and, make the right decisions. It's probably better than, what they got on the roster. I think he'd be more equipped to play there than Colin Gillespie, but Colin Gillespie's a more pure point guard than him in a lot of ways. Now they're great, but if you got Gillespie on your roster already and it's not that much of an improvement, maybe you get Gary Payton, but it doesn't push the envelope too much. Next, you go to Russell Westbrook. Oh, I don't even want to really talk about this one. That is the idea of him sharing a court with Devin Booker, Dylan Brooks, and Jalen Green. They would be, the other team might not have to play because they would just be fighting each other, I feel like. And whose turn it is to shoot, whose turn it is to dribble the ball. There would be zero actual flow and ball movement because those other guys are going to jack up shots when they get them. And you need a point guard that is a pure facilitator. Westbrook still only knows how to really play kind of one way. Still plays downhill, still plays as hard as anybody in the league. But it is full speed ahead. It is not monitor the game and go as it goes, basically. And that would be a bit of a train wreck in a lot of ways. But, yeah, I would rather have Colin Gillespie start than Russell Westbrook at this point for this team. Now, in other teams, obviously, Westbrook's a better player, but for right now, for what they have on the roster and for what this team is, that ain't it. So that leaves you with some older vets, Corey Joseph, Patty Mills, maybe a Cameron Payne. Those are all guys that can play a little bit. I think probably Corey Joseph would be the name that of that bunch that I'd be like, okay, this is where you got to go. This is what you got to do. But none of those guys are tremendous defenders anymore. A little bit of good shot makers. Patty Mills' best days are behind him. Cameron Payne's been a forever okay, in spurts player. Um, Patty Mills and Corey Joseph are smart players. They don't tend to make a lot of mistakes that make you bang your head against the wall. But they're also not guys that are making a ton of plays that are making you jump up and like get excited either. It's just kind of a net zero. I guess maybe you get one of those guys as a backup to Gillespie. Maybe they challenge for the starting role. They kind of go back and forth, but like neither of them, again, are getting you to the point where you're super excited about kind of what you're looking at there. The last guy that I'm going to throw one wild card out there, and I don't think it could happen. I don't see it happening, I should say, but it could happen. It could. In a weird world. What do you guys think about Josh Giddey? Now, here's why I don't think he's a restricted free agent. So any offer that he gets, the Bulls will have a chance to match it first, and you would have to go with the Bulls unless the other team offer more than what the Bulls wanted to pay. But the Bulls are going to be in take mode. So there's a non-zero chance that they're just going to be like, appreciate it, but best of luck down the road. We really want to be bad this year. We don't want to spend that much money. The problem is he then would be able to choose what team he'd want to go to. And, the Suns aren't going to be the only people that are interested there. There are going to be a lot of teams that would be interested in Josh Giddey. He's a pretty good player. And then the issue turns into, while that's not like a terrible timeline of his age and kind of what this team is looking for, the problem is there's only so much money the Suns could spend, and there's a lot of other teams that could spend more money. And he's going to demand more money than what the Suns could probably create. So I don't see it happening. But there is a world that maybe they offer, 3 years, $20 million, $25 million. And, for whatever reason, the Bulls are wanting to wipe the slate clean. It's out there. He's going to get more money than that. I don't know how they would make, the dollars work. I've been looking over it pretty much all morning, trying to see a way that they could get a path to get in there, because I actually really like that fit for this team. I don't think it could happen. I just think he's going to get way too much money in the open market if he did get to the open market, if the Bulls decided that they didn't want him. But I would love that fit. If they could find a way to make that work, that'd be great. And maybe, just maybe, while all the rumblings make it sound like now they're not going to be doing it, there was once upon a time where everyone talked about how Jalen Green was going to be flipped in the trade. And he came in, and then they were going to try and send him somewhere else, just get more draft picks to kind of free up more salary space. And that's $12 million right there. I think the Bulls maybe somewhere around there? Maybe. I don't see it, but the crux of the issue is now the music's getting ready to stop, and the Suns still don't have a dance partner, and they don't know, kind of looking around at this point, there's only a couple left, and none of them were the ones that you were hoping to dance with or to go home with. And it's getting tough. It's getting really tough. I think we're staring down the barrel of a world where Colin Gillespie is the starting point guard for the Suns next year. Boy, I hope he's got some thick skin. He's going to be hearing it from everybody on that team, because there are going to be a lot of bombastic personalities between Dylan Brooks, between Jalen Green, between Devin Booker, that are all going to be at the dinner table, and they all got their plates, and they're all ready to eat. And it's going to be up to him to kind of make sure that everyone gets fed. And if he misses one of them, you're going to hear about it. I don't love the position for him. I don't love the position for the Suns. I don't know what the out is, though, because there's just not that many point guards left out there. So it's looking like it's either going to be Gillespie or you move Booker over and put him out of place, and you're taking your franchise $49 million player this year and having him play out of position because you don't have anybody that can play there. Not great. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think.